Hi, this is Steve. Welcome to the Artbox Best in Show, February 2025 episode. Floyd Johnson, our host. This month, we'll be talking to the Best in Show winner, Katherine Rountree, who won with a piece called Red Barn Number 2. It's beautiful, and Floyd, as usual, does his masterful job of talking with the artist. You will find Katherine just amazing. I'm surprised I haven't met her until now. What a nice lady and such a talented artist. And it always does my heart well when we have two just masterful artists, Floyd and Katherine, just chatting about art. Thank you for listening, and be sure to visit the Virgin Valley Artists Association. And on February 20th, 2025, they will be having a reception 4 to 6.
Welcome to the Art Box, your podcast dedicated to exploring the vibrant art scene in Nevada and beyond. Join us as we embark on a journey through galleries, theaters, studios, public lands, and streetscapes, meeting the artists, curators, archaeologists, nature lovers, and cultural influencers who shape our creative community and our world. Whether you're looking for your next cultural adventure, seeking inspiration for your own artistic pursuits, or simply curious about the world of art, tune into the Art Box. Together, let's open up a world of creativity and imagination. Let's dive in.
Welcome, everybody, to the Mesquite Fine Center Best of Show Award, which goes this month to a wonderful work of art. And we're going to be discussing her Best of Show winning piece, which is entitled Red Barn Number 2. It's so wonderful to have you here. So tell us about the wonderful work of art of Red Barn Number 2.
The Red Barn Number 2 is our barn at our ranch. And in the fall, that is a view from up the highway US 50 and 6, down in the fall. And there's a moment in time when the sun illuminates just the trees and the barn in the fall when the sun's getting lower in the sky because there's mountains to the south of us. Anyway, and it's just wonderful. It gets a lot of pictures taken of it and everything, so I just had to do that, and I did it. And in this particular one I've done two of these. The first one was similar, but this one has my long-lived donkey under the tree. If you look hard, he's under the tree in the field. And so that was a kind of a memory of Jack.
The contrast that you have on that work of art is what makes it so absolutely striking, is that you have the light hitting it so vividly in the foreground, and it has such a marvelous contrast with the background. And the positioning of the barn, relatively small in comparison to the setting, but that just makes the whole composition so dramatic. You did a great job on it.
Thank you.
And with your numbering of calling it Art Barn or Red Barn 2, did you do a series of them?
There's another one in the show. It's from the other direction. It's a red barn with some sheep in the pasture.
Uh-huh.
It's a much larger, and it's oil. Red Barn Number 2 is pastel.
It's interesting that you have the two works done in two different mediums. Now, for your award-winning piece in pastel, did you use a combination of pastel sticks and pastel pencils?
Oh, yeah. Mostly soft pastel, but sticks and pencil and whatever works.
It's been several years since I've attempted the use of it. What I found fascinating about pastels when I did do works with it, it's almost like using watercolors without the water.
Well, it is because it's pigment, as pure as they can get it. The harder the pastel, the more binder they have in it. And that's why you have hard pastels, soft, and then you can actually buy pigment in a pan. So basically you're doing oil painting without the oil. There isn't any oil in it. And I use all kinds of things, but mostly my hands, my fingers. Most people do that. Some people use a brush, but I wore off my fingerprints doing that because nowadays we use sanded paper. It's different than the old paper pastel substrate, the paper, and it's sanded, and when you get in there and you're doing your little blending and stuff, you rub off on the sandpaper.
Well, it was a marvelous accomplishment to see the results of it. The combination of color and positioning and composition, you really hit the jackpot on it.
Well, it's there, and that's what it looks like. And we hit the jackpot on living in that valley because the valley is beautiful. It's just a beautiful valley. It's called Spring Valley, and we're up above it near the pass.
Mm-hmm. So you've done several paintings and pastels of the area?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful, and it's nice to be able to capture it and to share both the work of art and the story that goes with it. That makes it all the more memorable for all of the artists and the volunteers at the gallery and the people who come by to take back their own memories from seeing your painting.
Yeah. There's probably been a lot of people that have seen it and actually photographed it because Highway 50 runs right along. Actually, it bisects our property. And there's constantly photographers out there with the barn, and particularly in the fall when the trees are like they are in that painting.
Well, that makes it a popular spot, and your work now can be a part of the memory bank for a lot of people for seeing the area and the wonderful contrast that you had of the barn. And your composition on it was just absolutely perfect.
Well, thank you very much. That's really nice.
You mentioned before the podcast started here that you're not. Are you currently a resident of Mesquite?
Only in the winter. We're snowbirds, which is going to be one of my next painting is a snowbird.
And where do you spend your summer months?
Pardon me?
Where do you spend your summer months?
Up there at the ranch.
Yeah.
That's home. We've been there 53 years, I think.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good way for having the combination of summer and winter, and to be usually when you use the term snowbirds, you think of terms about the far north. I'm from Minnesota originally, there are a lot of those that have their 6 months in the two areas between snow country and down here
and a lot of
for the winter. But even for within the state of Nevada, northern Nevada and us down here in the south, makes us for quite a nice contrast. Our place is at 6,400 plus or minus feet in elevation. So our weather is very much different, and it's more like your weather, except for we don't get near as much water and snow. Yeah, called high desert. No, we get the landscape. We get the cold with it. But I lived at Lake Tahoe for a while, and that was 6,200 feet at lake level, and then I lived 1,000 feet higher than that. So
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can relate to. But I'd like to find out more about your art. Do you have a preference between pastel and oils, or is it a question on the subject that you're painting to determine how you want to?
I do most of my, I can't say that either. I do a lot of portraits, and I do them mostly in oil. I do them also in pastel, but I like oil for portraits.
Well, that's fascinating.
And it just depends on what the subject is, whether or not I'm going to do it one way or the other. I don't know.
Well, that's what makes the creation so personal. When you have an idea of what you want to do, and then the medium almost kind of falls into place then for if you want to have like more of a hard edge to something, or how you're going to blend the colors,
right.
or a softer look, you can always work that out along the way. But anyway,
it also is because large pastels are a lot more difficult. They don't make the great big paper for pastels is very expensive. So that's another factor. You kind of, you just look at the picture and what are you going to do? And
Well, that's good. Well,
I do not paint in acrylics. I don't like acrylics, and it may be because in our country with its low humidity, it dries too fast and you can't blend like you can in pastels and oils.
yeah, it's quite a change. I started doing paintings in oils back in the 1960s. That's going way back. And then I felt I had to give it up because of the smell got to be too much for me in a small room for doing my painting.
I've got a problem with that too.
Yeah. So then I switched over to acrylics, and I haven't done an oil painting since the 1960s, but that just makes me all the more fascinated to see an oil creation because it's such a marvelous medium, and to find people who can master the art so well, people like you, it's just great. It's wonderful for the gallery and wonderful for the people to come to the gallery to see the works that are done there.
Well, thank you.
But between acrylics and oils and pastels and three-dimensional work, and can't forget about people like Steve here doing photography.
Yeah, they've got some great photography in this show. And the one I was in last year, oh my goodness. You've got photographers down here that are really good.
Yeah, and as a matter of
I didn't really look at names on them, but
no. As a matter of fact, Shirley Smith is the artist of the month, and she has one whole wall of her photography works on there. So
I've been there, yeah, seen that. And I want to compliment you on your paintings, like the one with the Vikings. That was just superb. I mean, that was just out of sight.
Well,
beautiful.
From Minnesota, I had to do my share of Viking paintings, but we're here to acknowledge you and your best of show. Congratulations, and keep up the great work.
Well, thank you very much, Floyd. I appreciate it.
And the reception for the Touch of Red, that's what I was fumbling for.
Oh, yeah.
That's the title of the exhibit, and the reception will be at the gallery on February 20th from 4 to 6. All are welcome to come. We can share our admiration for Katherine's work.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
This is really nice.
Broadcasting from the Mesquite Works Steam Center in the scenic Mojave Desert, the Art Box sponsors thank you for listening. You can find us on Spotify, Samsung, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, and Amazon Music. Please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We are on Facebook and Instagram as The Art Box. We welcome all comments. You can email us at artboxvv@gmail.com. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of its hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of our sponsors.
But I see the way you